Okay, guys, welcome. Guys and gals, girls, guys, everybody, welcome. So my name's Troy. I'm here to help Lex with Still Stoked. We're gonna do a little post-surf yin/restorative stretch class, about 20 minutes. This is the idea we've been talking about. It's the reality of the situation. We've just had, 5 days of just big pumping surf, and we've been frothing on it. And now it's a little bit of a lull day, but tomorrow the swell is gonna pick up again. And so this happens. You hear people say, "Oh, I'm just surfed out, man. Like, you want to go surfing? It's gonna be pumping. Oh, I'm too surfed out." You don't let that happen to you. One of the things is that we tighten when we surf, and oftentimes we just don't decompress. Now, doing some of the flow classes that we've gone through, the mobility stuff, that's all good, but this will just let you relax into your body a little bit more. The caveat is you want to keep a little bit of engagement. So yin, we're going to come into like a yin practice, but yin is meant to get into the joints and the connective tissue. So you don't want to be pushing it too hard. You don't want to hold too hard. We have a little pillow for each of us. Couch cushions, pillows, anything. You want to be highly modified in all of these because you want to feel the value and you don't want to feel big sensation. The stretch quality here, I call it a 3 to 5 out of 10. It's not like a forced stretch. It's just like, I'm not comfortable, but I can manage. So that's what we're gonna go for. And we're gonna target shoulders, upper back, and we're gonna get into hips. So the first thing that I'm gonna come into, and this is one of my favorite poses, is it's called a melting heart. Yeah, and so if you come into a tabletop, I always suggest having a pillow handy because you're probably gonna be pretty tight. You're gonna try to keep your hips right above your knees. And as I said, everything is malleable and adaptable. I'm gonna walk my hands forward and I'm working to getting my chest to come down to the floor. My chin or forehead is gonna come down to the floor and my arms are extending forward. Now there's a lot of issues here. If you're really, really tight in the shoulders, this is gonna be really, really painful. The easy fix, take your elbows out wide, it bypasses that tightness. You want to go as straight as you can because that's more value in the stretch, but you're not here to punish yourself, so you want to feel that you can be sustaining for about 4 or 5 minutes. You see Lex has got a nice dropping through the tail. She's just chilling out. And so the whole time you're here, is the pose is called melting heart. You're just going to allow yourself to settle and melt. And then you just come into a rate of breathing that feels natural and feels beneficial. And then you're just experiencing the sensation. So a micro bit of hands pressing into the ground can be beneficial. You want to notice if you're engaging muscles that don't need to be engaged. And a big portion of the way we practice like this restorative kind of yin fashion, is allowing yourself to relax. Releasing tension and softening. You get to just sit with your thoughts. You sit with the sensations. And some of you might feel it more in the hips, some of you might feel it in the low back, a lot of you will feel it in the upper back, some of you will feel it more in the shoulders. There's no correct or incorrect, it's just you get lucky and you feel it where you feel it. A lot of times the sensations can be subtle. As I said, you want about 3 to 5 out of 10. So don't expect you're going to have a huge stretch. You want to be able to let gravity sustain you. So I'm not pushing and holding myself here. I'm just relaxed. I'm settled. About another 30 seconds. Notice if you've been holding on. See if you can relax. Shoulders, relax. Upper back, melt. Soften your forehead. Soften your butt, your legs. Now we want to move really slowly in transition. So first thing, you're going to tighten into your belly. You're going to try to round your back gently, push into your hands softly, and like a caterpillar, you're just going to slink your way forward. I like to move whatever's underneath me. I'm just going to lay down, make a pillow with my hands, let my forehead come down to the hands and just rest for a few moments. And for me, that feels pretty damn good. My low back feels a bit refreshed. Shoulders definitely feeling it. That's about good. Now we're going to do a couple more things for the shoulders. So we're going to come into a chest stretch. And I always like to have a pillow or something handy on my left side. Right elbow is going to bend out to 90 degrees. Now the key here is it's a subtle thing. But if my elbow goes directly to 90, it's in line with my shoulder. I'm going to move it about an inch further forward, a couple centimeters further forward. That's just the mechanics of the shoulder. Right cheek's going to come down to the ground, so I'd move your elbow a little further forward even. Yep. Now I have the pillow ready. I'm going to move my hips to the left, bend my left knee. I'm going to work to peel myself open. I might have to move this mic pack, which is cool. There we go. So I'm going to peel myself open. I want to keep elbow, hand, and shoulder onto the ground, cheek onto the ground. The pillow can be nice because you can just put it in between your legs, in between your knees, and you can rest onto your left fingertips. Some of you will be able to bring your left foot to the floor as Lex has. And you might even be able to do it, Lex, where you actually bend your right knee and you place your right foot onto your left knee and it kind of keeps your onto the knee. Oh. Yeah, so then it kind of keeps the twist for you. Oh, yeah. It's nice, huh? Now this, if you're really tight in the chest, this is going to be pretty confronting as it is. If you can go further, your left hand can reach behind you. And I will sometimes like to tuck my fingers underneath my rib cage. You got it. You feel the difference there?
Yeah, love it.
And you're going to be feeling this primarily in the right chest and shoulder. But we do a lot of bracing and holding in the low back, so this can be a subtle release into the low back as well. Once you find the position, you close your eyes and you just breathe. Remembering, if the sensation is too intense, back out a little bit. You want it to be subtle. You don't want to feel like your arm is going completely numb. It should feel like there's a gentle quality of discomfort. When we hold the poses this long and we stretch, it gives you actually the opportunity to go in and feel tension and then feel tension relaxing. In the first few moments, or maybe the first minute, tension's at its highest level. And it's like a disturbed pond, but as you stay and you just let yourself be patient, the ripples calm and you become still. Your mind will definitely wander the first few times if you've never done a practice like this. You know, we're not designed to sit still, so this is an art form. But if you think of the benefit, even we're coming post-surf now, but when you're surfing, a lot of the time is spent seated. And, the last few days we've had hundreds of guys out in the lineup, and there can be a vibe and people get aggressive. And one of the things, even if you watch surf comps, you see the people get rattled by the people in their heats. And so to let yourself be less affected by what's happening around you, you develop an ability to be calm when there's stress, when there's tension. And so even just holding these poses a little bit longer, you develop your ability to sit still. And I'll find myself sometimes if there's a long lull, it's easy to want to fill the space and look and chat and fight for position. But if you know you're in the right spot, just close your eyes and take a few deep breaths. And this trains you to do that. I tend to find that if I do that, the waves just kind of come and you end up being in the right spot. Just take one more breath in. And then exhale. And you release your left hand if you've reached it around under your right foot and move very slowly. I always think of this kind of practice as a sloth, like you're moving that slow. You'll straighten your left leg and you'll just roll back onto your belly. And you can come into any position that feels good. I always like this, making a pillow with my hands and forehead down. And we take a break in between the sides and between the poses because you want to feel how your body's received it. And you spend a few minutes in a pose. Like I get this huge, beautiful release in my low back. It's awesome. And then we'll take the second side. So there's a twisting element that happens in that one. That's why I like a little bit of a break, because your low back doesn't have a lot of twist and it just kind of holds it, this beautiful tension. And those few seconds coming back to center brings it back to center before we bend the opposite way. So left elbow is going to be out. Again, I'm not directly in line with my shoulder. I'm slightly forward. That gives me more value. Neither of us are using the pillow, but you can. I'll show you what you can do. My hips go right a bit. My cheek comes down to the ground. I'm on my right fingertips. I take my right knee behind me. So, some of you might find that this is as far as you can go, having your knee on top of the pillow, and that's beautiful. Some of you may find having the knee, the pillow between your knees, and that's beautiful as well. I'm going to come into the same variation that we did on the first side, which is bringing my right foot to the floor and my left foot into my knee. This just lets me completely settle in, and I am going to take my right hand behind me, and I'm just going to tuck it underneath my belly and my ribs.
I'm so much stiffer on this side.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm just going to have to back off.
But this is one thing, we actually haven't talked about, is that, Lex and I are both natural. And so if you're natural footed, you're always going to have a slight internal rotation of the right leg, and you're going to have an open external rotation left leg, and that's going to transition up the body. And so if you think of it, you're going to have one side that's always going to be a bit tighter, and that's never going to change. So when you're practicing, it's important not to try to force one side to be comparative to the other. I teach a lot of Yin, and one thing that I really work with is the principle of awareness without analysis. And what I mean by that is that we will often try to seek what we call balance or stasis or evenness. And if you were to cut your body in half, the left and right are not even in the slightest. Your guts are different. Your heart is in one spot. Your belly, your stomach's on one side. So it's a futile attempt to find balance, but it's good to note and recognize where your body is uneven. Hips, like I said, shoulders, twisting. Mothers tend to have one side that's way, way different because you tend to carry your babies on the same side. So if you're a mom, you're definitely going to have one side that's tighter. You can have a little bit of, acquired scoliosis, and it's not horrible. You can work hard to rebalance it, but it's also, your body's adaptable. Nobody's coming out balanced and even, so you might as well just appreciate and work with the body you've got. And if you recognize that one side is tighter, you can change the shape. As I said, we're here for 4 minutes, 5 minutes. So you want to make sure that you're in a space that's, I don't ever use the word comfortable, but it's just discomfortable. and talk about gently perturbing the system. And so again, if we use the pond analogy, I'm not taking a nice, beautiful, still pond and then continuously throwing and chucking rocks into it, but I just start the pose by throwing a couple pebbles in. And so there's a few light ripples that travel across the surface. And then the pose is just letting them settle and letting them relax.
It's amazing how much I think about food when I do yin, especially after surfing so much.
I don't usually, but funny enough, I just was thinking about the noodles I'm going to make for dinner tonight. And now I'm salivating. And they're going to be delicious. Take a breath in. Long breath out. And then again, if you're taking the variation we have, first off, you want to undo your right hand so you have a platform to help you unroll. You'll straighten your right leg and you roll onto your belly. Move very gently, very delicately. Make a pillow. Forehead can come to the floor. But it actually is funny when you think of food. And when I started practicing yoga about 15 years ago, one of the things I noticed most was I would practice at least 30 minutes before a meal. And I was so much more present with what I ate, and I received the energy of the food so much better. It's awesome. So it's cool if you're thinking about food now. You're still slowing yourself down. Train yourself to chew more. Okay. So now we're going to come into a pose called straight jacket. I'm going to show you a few different variations. If you have fairly open shoulders, you can do it the way I am. I'm going to try to get the mic so that it's not going to be rubbed. So essentially you start on your elbows. I'll move this little hip pack as well. And I'm going to turn my palms to face up. I'm going to try to walk my hands as far away from each other as possible. I'm going to try to move the mic so I can get that. There we go. So I'm going to move my hands as far away from each other as possible. And in my body, I can get fairly deep into it, and my chin just rests on my arm. I'm not dropping my shoulders to either side. And in my experience, it doesn't really matter which arm is in front of the other, but you can test it out and see for yourself. Maybe you do 2 rounds. This is epic on the shoulders.
Yeah, one of my faves.
Yeah. So you can see Lex has got her arms in line with the shoulders. For some people, this is really, really tight. So an easy release valve, you take your arms a little bit further forward, and it's less intense in the shoulders. Also, if you've got your little pillow handy, just get that out of the way. Get a stretchy shirt. This is kind of fun. You won't have a mic, so you won't have to worry about that. But this can give you a little bit of support so you can stay in line with the shoulders and you don't have to go as deep. If you need something for your face, as I said, Lex is fine with her hand on the floor. My chin just rests on my arm. But if you need something, having a pillow for your forehead, obviously the preparation is there. If you find that, actually, I need it now, go grab another pillow. I'm going to come back off of the pillow because I don't need it. And again, reset my mic so I'm not squishing it. And this is just really, really good for the outsides of the shoulders. Sometimes it's the space in the rhomboids in between the shoulder blades. If you're lucky, you get a little column A and a little column B. What I've observed here is that we're working to have the muscles totally relax, but the back line tends to engage, and it tends to start with your butt. So you want to make sure your butt's relaxed, your legs are relaxed, and sequentially just release your low back, mid back, upper back, neck, jaw, face. And the idea is you want to feel like you're delighting in the sensations, or you're delighting at least in the observation of the sensations. You want to notice if the intensity changes. Oftentimes, often, not always, but often, the initial minute or so is the most intense. And that gives way to a slow releasing, releasing, releasing. That's what we're looking for. If that's not happening, that's okay too. And even though we want to stay still, so the benefits beyond stretching the muscles, which we're definitely doing because they're warm, but we're working to get into the fascia, which takes time. You know, muscles tend to be about 40 to 60 seconds of a consistent hold to actually release. Fascia can be 2 to 4 minutes to consistently release, which is why we stay for so long. And unlike stretching, where you might hold a pose for a minute and find that you go a lot farther, fascia is a very, very micro shift. So you probably won't change the position you're in. You just feel a bit more relaxed in that position. And then the exit. You're going to gently engage your back. You're going to lift, slowly slide the arms out. And you can come to rest in really any position. Again, I keep coming into this head on hands. This just feels nice for me. There tends to be quite a warm release. And that was so good on my shoulders. And then you'll bring your hands under your shoulders and you'll pull yourself up to your hands and knees. By this point, you're usually moving pretty damn slow anyway. I'm going to come into a deer pose. So this gets a little bit of the front and back hip. So I'm going to sit down onto my right hip and I'm going to open up my right knee to 90 degrees. I'm going to take my left knee out to 90 degrees. This is malleable. So you always want to feel that you have the confidence. I'm just trying to get the mic out of my way. You want to have the confidence that you can change this. You can bring your back knee up. You can bend your front knee more. There's so much you can do. If you get cramping in the outside of the left hip, tends to be that if you just bend your knee a little bit more, that will help. A pillow can be nice here. Two options that I like to work with. So I like 90 and 90 degrees. Leaning forward for me gets a really nice inside line / hip flexor stretch in my back leg, as well as getting a good stretch in my right glutes. Or if I lean a little bit and twist towards the right a touch, it gets a bit more into my low back while still getting the same stretch as the other. So I'm going to come into the twisting one.
Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah. As I said, one, I'll just rest here. Going straight forward is good. Your body's always changing, so do one now and maybe do another one next time. If you have the time, you can add on at the end. But I'm just going to get my mic sorted, lay down.
I don't feel it so big in the hips when I lean over though.
You feel it more in the twist.
I feel it more here, but I feel like if here, I get it more in the hips. Back this way.
Yeah, but it also depends on what what you feel like you're getting the most value out of.
Yeah.
And this is the hard thing with yin, is that when you're working with fascia and even the muscles, it's like a big interconnected system. And so we always try to kind of qualify, like, where should I be going? And I don't really know.
Yeah.
But some days, like if your hips are feeling like right now, I'm feeling like crazy in my back hip, and I'm getting the twist. My right hip, like I'm feeling it all a little bit, which is great because it doesn't always happen. And you just want to play with it for 30 seconds, 20 seconds until you find the place you can relax. It doesn't feel good. I mean, it does, but it doesn't feel like pleasurable. There's definitely sensation. You're not needing it to feel any different. You're allowing it. It's funny when you're aligning yourself in yin. There's a huge custom tailoring that you do to each of your poses, each of your shapes, and it can train you in so many different ways for when you do get back on the board. Because a lot of times when we're working on a surfing or we're practicing, training, coaching, we have this image of a surfer we love and we want to surf like them, but we forget that our body is unique and our style is unique. And so yin kind of trains on the conscious and subconscious level. It trains us to really embrace and love our own individual, unique style, shape. Then your surfing becomes more fun. Your body becomes more fun. You get towards the back half and it feels so good. If you can allow yourself to be still, you'll feel this quality of release. If it is in the fascia, truly, it's what we refer to as a phase change, where your body, the fascia kind of reorganizes itself. It's so subtle, but I always get this sensation. It's kind of like someone's pouring warm honey right where I'm stretching. Take a breath in. Let a breath go. And slowly push yourself back up. And I like in between the sides to actually just come up, swing my left leg forward, bring both feet flat, and lean back into the hands, And just kind of slow windscreen wipe knees side to side. This is just epic. And you feel the discrepancy. One side's been internally rotated, one side's been externally rotated. So we will balance them out somewhat when we are done.
So good.
So good, huh? Okay, let's do side 2. Last big one here. So your left knee is going to be bent to 90 degrees in front of you. Again, right knee starts at 90 degrees, but play with it. The biggest thing when we get this muscle, this TFL muscle here, it's kind of a tight little pocket muscle, and it tends to be one of the ones that cramps first. And so if you feel that, I find bringing your knee forward is a pretty good reliever for that. You could also extend your leg back and get more into like a kind of half pigeon or a sleeping swan stretch, whatever is cool. I'm gonna bring my pillow in front of me. Remember, so phase 1, you can literally just go straight forward, and this is a great stretch. This is gonna target a lot more into the front hip while getting you into the inner line of your back leg. If you wanna do the same side, the twist is rad. I'll lean right over my knee, and I might even lean onto my right side this time. So I'm actually getting quite a bit different sensation in the twist on this one. And your body, I've said this many times, but your body's never gonna be completely even. So you may have done the twist on one side and not on the other, and that's cool. You can do the same variation, you can do different variations. You want to feel you have time here to close your eyes and just feel how the sensation comes and goes, changes. You also want to be joyfully recognizing how the mind is going to want to move and do something. You notice you want to tap your fingers, you want to pick, fidget, play with stuff. It's okay, but try to relax that as much as you can. Try to let that go as much as you can. And just soften deeper, soften deeper, soften deeper. Let's take one more breath in. A long breath out. Again, you'll slowly use your hands as best you can to come back up. And this time, you can move everything. Again, put your feet flat. Just gently swish side to side. And now that's plenty. You can be completely done there, but I always like to finish with a twist. I think like our bodies will like a twist. So we'll do the last is gonna be this twisted roots. I know Lex loves it. You'll love it. So you're gonna cross your right thigh over your left thigh. We do this in the pre-surf routine. Your hips move over towards the right. I like to have a pillow here handy because we're gonna be here for a while. As you drop your knees over towards the left, you can have a straight right arm, you can have a bent right elbow, but you want to let yourself totally relax. And you might feel this anywhere in the line from your knee to your hip, side body, armpit, shoulder, upper arm. Your head drop to the right. And just consider how you relate to the word let and allow. And that's what we're doing here, is we're just letting gravity have us, and we're allowing ourselves to be heavy as possible. If you think you're approaching the whole body here, you're getting the outside of the right hip works a lot, whether you're goofy or natural. Your low back is always in stabilizing, so you're getting a nice stretch through the low back. Your chest, always working in your paddling, so you're getting a nice stretch there. As we're just kind of winding down, we'll just take one more breath here, a little bit shorter. Hold, you take a big inhale. And a bigger exhale. If you wish to stay, you can do this for minutes and minutes, it's amazing. Otherwise, we'll go to the second side. So delicately bring your knees back to center. You'll uncross them. You'll bring your feet flat, and for a moment, you'll just center your hips, let the knees drop in, and allow your low back to decompress. A lot of times there's this really nice positive quality of torque you get onto the lumbar spine, and you want to just let it soften and come back to neutral before we go into the second side. And let's do it. So you can pick up your hips, move them to the left, cross left over right. I've got my pillow handy. So now as my knees drop over, most bodies don't twist that much. You might need even more. If you don't need anything, you can let your knees get to the ground. But I want to make sure that my shoulder is resting on the floor. So I'm not compromising the shoulder. Letting the back of my hand rest down. Head drops to the left. And again, you're contemplating your relationship to the words let and allow. So you're letting yourself be relaxed, and you're allowing gravity to have full force over you. Again, slightly shorter than the other ones. So the next time you breathe in, you'll slowly bring your knees back up to center. You'll even out your hips. It's the goods. And then you just let yourself lay flat. So I always like to take a few moments in Shavasana. You can have a few minutes. If your low back is tender, putting a pillow or something underneath your knees can help to just soften what's going on in your low back. And really you can stay here for as long as you like. If it's bedtime, sleep. You can do all this in your bed if you really want and just pass out. Otherwise, yeah, just stay here for a couple minutes. And you just let your body feel all the results, receive all the benefits, and remap. When we do this, not only are we stretching, we're letting the muscles relax, but we're also allowing energy to move through the fascial channels a bit more smoothly. So you might feel a heightened sense of awareness. You might feel a bit different mental tuning. You probably feel a bit more calm. It's a meditative practice that lets you really feel connected to the moment. And then before you fall asleep, you just gently bend your knees. And you can roll over to either side. It doesn't really matter at this point. You can roll to the left, you can roll to the right. And you'll rest there for a moment or two. And see if you can use your hands and push your way back up to a seated position. And just appreciate how your body, your mind, and your breath are feeling. Hopefully a little bit more relaxed. Hopefully you're feeling a bit more open. You can do that every day after you surf if you've got the time. It's just making the time. So you should feel like your body's a bit loose, and hopefully you're ready to get back in the water tomorrow. Cool.
Thanks, Troy.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Good stuff,
Enjoy.
guys.
You don't really have much coherence after that, so we won't say anything super deep.
Such a yin brain.
Yeah, yin brain's a total thing. So enjoy the yoga stoned, and yeah, get back out in the water. See you soon.